Welcome back to Female Season, the podcast where we embrace growth, confidence, and the journey of becoming our best selves together. Welcome back. I'm back. I did not post an episode last week. That's because I was really sick. And, we're going to get all into that. So first, I'm your host, Ari Bryant. And today's episode is something that I didn't really plan, but I feel like life has, other plans. I've been sick recently, and when I say sick, I mean really sick. And in the middle of feeling the worst I've ever felt physically, I had to face something really heavy. The expectation to keep going anyway, to keep working, to keep functioning, to keep performing like nothing was wrong. And, if you ever had to keep showing up when your body, your mind, or your spirit was really begging for rest, this episode is just for you. So, I won't go into too many details because, as you know, I still have a job to protect. But I will say this. I was so unwell that I ended up in urgent care and then actually the emergency room. So I was really scared about everything. I was overwhelmed and I was in pain. And instead of feeling seen or heard, I felt dismissed. I felt talked over, like my symptoms weren't valid, like I was being dramatic. And to make matters worse, my job still expected me to kind of figure some things out. So I had to keep the ball rolling until I found someone else to carry it. And in that moment, I realized just how we're conditioned, especially as Black women, to keep showing up even when we're falling apart. This isn't just my experience. This is a systematic pressure that shows up in so many of our lives. And we're taught to be strong, to be dependable, to be on, even when we're not okay. And for Black women in particular, that expectation comes with a history. A weight, a myth of resilience that says you don't get to break down. We carry the workload, we carry the emotional labor, we carry our families, our communities, our teams, and when we need help, we're told to keep it together. But strength without rest is not power, it's pressure. And we don't owe anyone our performance when we're in pain. Bottom line. So it's just, let me say this. When you feel like you're in your deathbed, or maybe I'm being dramatic, but when you are feeling your worst, it really makes you reevaluate everything in your life, because it's kind of like it makes you rethink things. Like, I don't know. It's like you think about things you may have taken for granted, but it's at the same time you're thinking like, I can't believe this is real. Like, you can't make this up. Like, I'm sick and I'm unable to do anything. And I think the problem is because we do so much or still try to push through, we tend to have this expectation on us to push through. And I'm tired of that. Like, no, I'm learning from my mistakes. And it's funny because I'm still growing. I thought I hit the limit when it came to something like this, as far as like having a boundary set and to make it clear, like, if I'm sick, that's it. But I care too much still sometimes. And I feel like, you don't want to, feel weak. And I don't know how to explain it, but I associate me not being able to do things as being weak. Unfortunately, I'm still working on it. And I got some things to work through. But overall, I've hit my limit like this past week. Like, enough is enough, for real. So in those moments, when I was sick, I was frustrated. I felt unheard. I felt small. I felt invisible. And I felt like my pain didn't even matter unless it was convenient. And that's what hurt the most. I think it wasn't just the illness. It just was the message I received from people and systems around me. Like, we still expect you to function. That's pretty much it. And it made me realize that sometimes the world won't slow down for you, but you have to slow yourself down anyway. And if you ever had to push through pain because nobody else could do it, or because it's not just a good time, I want you to know I see you and I get it. But I also want better for you, better for us. So here's what I'm learning. You're allowed to stop. You're allowed to say no. You're allowed to take care of yourself, even if it's inconvenient for someone else. Even if it disappoints your boss. Even if it slows down your project. Even if you've always been the dependable one. And if your job or doctor makes you feel like your needs are too much, that is not a reflection of your worth. That's a reflection of their limits. You deserve rest. You deserve care. And you don't have to be strong every second of the day to be valuable. And I'm saying that because that's what I'm telling myself. It's something just that I associated with. It makes me feel like I have to keep pushing even when I can't. And it's crazy because it's almost like, how am I able to still function when I am in this condition? It's really embedded in me, to be honest with you. I feel like, especially if you worked in certain environments or been around certain people, it's just you have found a way to numb it. Not only numb it, but to also just become immune to it, where it feels like this is the normal. I feel like, I hit my limit. So in this whole situation, I felt unseen and still expected, to do everything that I've always done, as if nothing has changed with my health. And that's why I'm done pushing through. I literally use that word. I'm going to continue to push through and hope that I feel better. But why am I forcing myself to push through when I'm not okay? Why? And I'm sure I'm not the only one. So I'm learning that sometimes you have to set that boundary and just let them figure it out. I'm the type of person that, oh, okay, well, are you okay? Hey, let's put this in place. Hey, I'm always a team sport. I'm always considering everyone else before I'm considering myself. And unfortunately, it backfired. It's one of those things where I really just had no idea how much I was trying to be helpful, where it was messing things up for myself. And at this point, not doing it again ever. Deal breaker for me. I can't, because it's unfair. And a lot of times I feel misunderstood. And then when you're explaining this to those who are expecting you to perform the way you would if you were okay, you feel almost gaslit. Like you're picking apart my emotions about it, and you're trying to make it seem like it is something else that is, and it's not. It is what I said it was. So, yeah, I'm learning. But I really want to talk about this because I feel like it's something that's very important, and we're all going through it. A lot of us have health conditions, health issues, or, we have some different challenges that we're going through, and we have to continuously be at the doctor or continuously, be out and things like that. And sometimes we have to deal with things like having to push through. And I'm telling you, I'm not telling you to act out at work or act out with family or loved ones, anybody. I'm just telling you to choose yourself and to have a hard boundary when it comes to trying to do things when you're not okay. So in this episode, I really wanted to have some questions with you for you to reflect on. Where in my life am I performing through pain? What would it look like to stop performing and just honor how I feel? I want you to write that down, talk to yourself honestly about it, and just remind yourself that choosing rest isn't weakness, it's wisdom. If I was to answer this question, where in my life am I performing through pain? The answer I want to say is never. But in reality, the answer is I've always kind of done that, really, and still until as of last week. And it's not really funny. I don't know why I'm like laughing about it, but it's kind of sad, but I'm learning. And that's why this podcast is for us to learn and grow with each other, because we're all probably going through things similar to this. So just ask yourself once again, like I said, where in my life am I performing through pain? And what would it look like to stop performing and to just honor how you actually feel? I think it's really important. If you're not feeling well, do not second guess that. Why are you second guessing it? You know your body. You know your mind. Act accordingly. My final words for this episode is that we can't control how others treat us when we're not at our best, but we definitely can choose how we treat ourselves. And today I'm choosing softness. I'm choosing the truth. And I'm choosing to no longer apologize for being a human being. If you're in a space and you feel like nobody sees what you're carrying, I want you to know that I see you and you're not alone in this. And you always can email me at podcast@femaleseason.com if you want to talk about this further. Also, you can follow me on social media platforms and we can talk about it there. Or you can join our Facebook private group, Female Season, and we can talk about it there. If this episode gave you something to think about, I want you to share with another woman who might be carrying something heavy right now. Because this is something that's very, very common right now. And I just feel like passing this to someone who really needs to hear it can be really, really helpful. But thank you again for tuning in. I'm your host, Ari, and this is a Female Season podcast. You don't have to be strong every day. You just have to be real. And I will see you in my next episode. Bye.